Every year, millions of Americans make the same New Year's resolution. This is the year they finally lose the weight, the year they finally get healthy, the year they finally become the version of themselves they've always wanted to be. And every year, millions of Americans begin diets, join gyms, buy meal plans, download apps, order supplements, or start the latest trend promising lasting weight loss. Yet, most people won't reach their goal, and many who do will eventually regain the weight. So I started asking myself, why? Americans spend billions of dollars every year trying to lose weight. The weight loss industry is worth well over $100 billion annually. Weight loss medications are booming. Diet programs are booming. Fitness apps are booming. We're spending more money than ever trying to solve this problem, and yet, nearly 3 out of 4 American adults are now overweight or obese. Most American adults live with at least one chronic disease. Rates of conditions like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and metabolic disease continue to rise, many of which are strongly influenced by diet and lifestyle. At the same time, rates of anxiety and depression have also risen dramatically over the last several decades. We're heavier, sicker, we're more stressed, and despite having more nutrition information available than at any point in human history, many people still have no idea what they're supposed to eat. Don't eat carbs, eat more protein, go keto, track macros, count calories, skip breakfast, intermittent fast, avoid processed foods, don't eat after 8, cut sugars, cut seed oils. So what's actually going on? Are we simply lazy? Do we lack discipline? Are carbs to blame? Sugar? Processed food? Portion sizes? Stress? Lack of nutrition education? Or is there something deeper going on? Because if the answer was simply eat less, move more, well, this video would be over right now. Instead, I wanted to investigate 2 questions. Why is losing weight so hard for so many people? And is the problem really lack of discipline? Or is there something deeper going on? To answer those questions, I decided to investigate how the average American actually eats. And I think I found the perfect person to help. I feel like the IRS is going to audit me.
Gina, thank you for agreeing to be here.
Anything for science.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm busy. I work. I have kids. I have approximately 14,000 errands every single day, and by the time I sit down at night, I can barely remember my name.
What are your goals right now?
Honestly, I'd love to lose 20, 30 even pounds. I just want more energy, to feel better, fit in my old clothes again. The usual.
How long have you been trying to lose weight?
On and off, probably 15 years.
Would you say you eat pretty healthy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Walk me through a typical day.
Breakfast is usually coffee.
Just coffee?
Well, not just coffee. It's a large iced caramel latte with oat milk and cold foam. And if I'm starving, I'll grab a granola bar because health. Here's our first clue. The average American consumes around 80 grams of protein per day, but most of it is consumed at dinner. Breakfast is typically the lowest protein meal of the day. And that's a problem. Protein is the most filling macronutrient we eat. It stimulates satiety hormones, slows digestion, helps preserve muscle during weight loss, and helps keep us full between meals. Research consistently shows that people who eat more protein, especially earlier in the day, tend to experience less hunger and fewer cravings. But Gina's breakfast, a flavored coffee, and maybe a granola bar means she's starting her day with mostly sugar, refined carbs, and caffeine. That combination can produce a rapid rise in blood sugar and energy, followed by a crash a few hours later. Results? more hunger, more cravings, more snacking, and by late morning, Gina is already playing catch up. Back to you, Gina.
What happens around lunchtime?
I try to be good.
What does really good mean?
Usually a salad.
What's on the salad?
Lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, sometimes grilled chicken if I meal prepped. Depends on how motivated I am.
And how hungry are you a few hours later?
Honestly, ravenous. Like, I would eat the couch cushion if someone put ranch on it. Hungry. Yeah. Many people spend the first half of the day trying to eat as little as possible. Coffee for breakfast, a tiny salad for lunch, maybe a protein bar in the afternoon. The intention is good. The problem is that biology eventually wins. The average American consumes only about 15 grams of fiber per day, despite recommendations of roughly 25 to 38 grams. Fiber increases fullness, slows digestion, helps stabilize blood sugar, and supports overall health. Pair low fiber with low protein and very little food volume, and you have the perfect recipe for an intense afternoon and evening hunger. This isn't a willpower problem, it's physiology. Your body is remarkably good at convincing you to eat when it needs energy.
What happens in the afternoon?
Usually a protein bar, maybe crackers from the office kitchen, whatever snacks my kids didn't finish.
And dinner?
But dinner is our family meal. I don't know, pasta, tacos, takeout, pizza, whatever everyone will actually eat.
How often would you say you cook at home?
A few nights a week. I mean, takeout's just easier, honestly. Convenience has become one of the biggest drivers of food choices in America. Americans now spend more money on food prepared outside the home than food prepared inside the home. According to the USDA, Americans spend well over half of their food budget eating food prepared away from the home. Restaurants, takeout, delivery, drive-thrus, coffee shops. So if you do some quick math, let's say if you spend $20 takeout per meal eaten 5 times per week, that equals around $100 a week. That's more than $400 a month. That's more than $5,000 a year on takeout. And that's before delivery fees, tips, desserts, appetizers, or impulsive purchases. And many Americans aren't paying for all of this with cash. The average American carries thousands of dollars in revolving credit card debt, meaning some of these meals are literally being financed. But cost isn't the only issue. Restaurant meals and convenience foods tend to contain significantly more calories, larger portions, and are often engineered to be extremely rewarding to eat. And this is important. The food industry is not in the business of shrinking your waistline. It's in the business of, well, selling more food. Food scientists spent enormous amounts of time and money studying what combinations of sugar, fat, salt, texture, and flavor make us wanting to keep eating. Scientists sometimes refer to this as, I'm sure you've probably heard it, hyperpalatability. Foods don't necessarily have to taste unhealthy to be hyperpalatable. Even foods marketed as healthy can be specially formulated to be highly rewarding and easy to overconsume. I mean, just think about protein bars, glorified candy bars, trail mix, flavored yogurt, smoothies, snack foods. Conveniences isn't inherently bad. In fact, convenience is often necessary. But when most of our diet comes from foods designed to maximize consumption rather than fullness, nutrition, or satiety, staying in a calorie deficit becomes much more difficult. So when Gina says takeout is easier, she's absolutely right. The modern environment has made convenience incredibly easy. Unfortunately, long-term fat loss often requires us to be just a little more intentional than our environment encourages.
What do you drink throughout the day?
Coffee, more coffee, wine, sometimes juice.
What kind of juice?
Oh, naked juice. Those are healthy
Why?
because they're fruit and they're called naked. The average American consumes hundreds of calories each day from beverages, and liquid calories are incredibly easy to miss. I mean, just look at Gina's day. Large flavored coffee is 400 calories. Naked juice is 300 calories per serving. A glass of wine with dinner, that's another 120 calories. That's over 800 calories without chewing a single bite of food. Research consistently shows that liquid calories are less filling than solid foods. Your brain doesn't necessarily register them, meaning people often don't naturally eat less later to compensate. And here's where the math gets interesting. Just add 400 extra calories per day adds up to 2,800 calories per week. That's nearly an entire pound of body fat a week just in liquid calories.
How many calories do you think you eat in a day?
Probably 1,500, maybe 1,600.
How confident are you in that estimate?
Oh, not even a little. No. I don't know. Yeah, no clue. Study after study has shown that people underestimate how much they eat, sometimes by hundreds of calories per day, sometimes by 20 to 50%. Not because people are lying, just because modern food environments make calorie estimation genuinely difficult. Restaurant portions are larger than ever. Packaged foods can contain multiple servings. Foods marketed as healthy can still be highly calorie dense. A few tablespoons of peanut butter, a handful of nuts, a splash of olive oil, a coffee drink. None of these foods are bad, but they can add up really quickly.
Quick nutrition quiz. Name some high protein foods.
Chicken, eggs, protein bars, peanut butter, chickpeas, beans, nuts, seeds. Honestly, I feel like anything on Instagram is protein these days.
What should somebody eat to lose weight?
Well, definitely no carbs and no eating after 8.
Where did you learn all this?
Instagram, I don't know, TikTok, my coworker, a podcast, and my aunt. Honestly, I don't even know anymore. Most Americans receive very little formal nutrition education. Yet we make food decisions multiple times every single day. Instead, many of us learn about nutrition from social media, friends, family members, advertisements, influencers with a discount code, podcasts, or whoever seems the most convincing. Is it any wonder that people are confused? We've created one of the most complex human environments in human history, and then expect people to navigate it with almost no education.
Last question. Do you think you lack discipline?
No. I think I'm exhausted. I think I'm confused. And honestly, I think I'm trying really hard. I just don't know if I'm doing the right things. You know? That's when I realized something. Gina isn't lazy. She's not unmotivated. In fact, she's doing what millions of Americans do every single day, which made me wonder, maybe the problem isn't discipline at all. Maybe we've simply never been taught how to build meals that actually support fat loss. So let's do that. So what exactly was going wrong with Gina's diet? And more importantly, how do we fix it? Let's start with the most misunderstood concept in all of nutrition: energy balance. Regardless of whether you're eating keto, paleo, Whole30, intermittent fasting, vegan, carnivore, Mediterranean, or the I saw it on TikTok diet, fat loss ultimately comes down to energy balance. If you consistently eat fewer calories than you burn, you'll lose weight. If you consistently eat more calories than you burn, you'll gain weight. Yes, hormones matter. Sleep matters, stress matters, food quality, they all matter. But all of those things influence energy balance. They don't replace it. So if it's really this simple, why was Gina struggling so much? Because getting into a calorie deficit isn't always as simple as just eat less. Your body burns calories in a few different ways. First, we have basal metabolic rate, or BMR. This is the energy your body uses simply to stay alive. Breathing, thinking, keeping your heart beating, maintaining body temperature. For most people, BMR accounts for roughly 60 to 70% of calories burned each day. And one of the biggest factors influencing BMR, muscle mass. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. The more lean muscle mass you carry, the more calories your body burns at rest, which is one of the reasons strength training is so important during fat loss. As people lose weight, their BMR often decreases, but preserving and ideally building muscle can help minimize that drop. Then we have NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is all the movement you do that isn't formal exercise. Walking, standing, cleaning, taking the stairs, fidgeting, playing with your kids, talking with your hands. For many people, NEAT accounts for roughly 15 to 30% of total daily calorie burn. And here's what's interesting. When people dramatically slash calories, they often unknowingly move less. They sit more, they take fewer steps, they fidget less. Their body becomes more efficient. Then we have TEF, the thermic effect of food. This is the energy required to digest and absorb food. TEF typically accounts for about 10% of calories burned each day. But different foods require different amounts of energy to digest. Protein burns the most. Roughly 20 to 30% of protein calories are burned during digestion. Carbs burn roughly 5 to 10%, while fat burns only 0 to 3%. So yes, a calorie deficit matters, but the quality of the food you're eating influences hunger, metabolism, movement, energy, cravings, and ultimately, whether you can sustain that deficit. And this is exactly where Gina was struggling, because calories are only half of the story. This is where most diets fail. People ask, how little can I eat? When they should be asking, how can I stay full while eating slightly less? Let's take Gina. Coffee for breakfast, tiny salad for lunch, protein bar. By evening, she was starving. Not because she lacked discipline, but because she was hungry. And hungry always wins eventually. Here's something important to understand. Full does not necessarily equal satisfied. You can physically fill your stomach with calories and still not experience fullness. Think about Gina's breakfast. A large flavored coffee may contain several hundred calories. It can technically provide energy, but because it's liquid, low in protein, low in fiber, and consumed quickly, it often doesn't provide lasting satiety. So a person can consume a lot of calories without feeling truly full. And that often leads to more snacking, more cravings, and more overeating later in the day. Protein is the cornerstone of every successful fat loss diet. Why? Because protein keeps you fuller longer, preserves muscle while dieting, helps regulate appetite, improves recovery, supports energy levels, and requires calories to digest. Remember Gina's breakfast? Unfortunately, she's not alone. Many Americans begin their days with foods that are essentially desserts. Pastries, muffins, sweetened coffee drinks, bagels, sugary cereals, breakfast bars. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying these foods occasionally, starting every day this way can create problems. When we sleep, overnight we're fasting. Breakfast literally means breaking the fast. And how you break that fast matters. If breakfast consists of primarily sugar and refined carbohydrates without adequate protein, fat, or fiber, blood sugar tends to rise rapidly. Insulin rises in response. Blood sugar is then pulled out of circulation. And for many people, this is followed by an energy crash. More hunger, more cravings, poor focus, more snacking, and the cycle repeats. On the other hand, starting the day with lean protein, fiber, whole foods tends to produce more stable blood sugar, steadier energy, and greater fullness. Protein also tends to improve energy, reduce cravings, improve recovery from exercise, and help people stick to their diets long term, which often means more movement, more activity, more NEAT. Most people trying to lose fat should aim for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per goal body weight. And every meal should include 20 to 30 grams of protein. Now, this is where people often get confused. There are foods that are primarily protein and foods that contain protein. Those are not necessarily the same thing. Lean protein sources include chicken breast, turkey breast, lean beef, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, egg whites, white fish, shrimp, tofu, edamame. Foods like nuts, seeds, peanut butter, and salmon absolutely contain protein, but they also contain substantial amounts of fat. Beans, lentils, they also contain protein too, but they also contain significant amount of carbohydrates. These foods are healthy. They're fantastic foods. But if your goal is maximizing protein intake while controlling calories, understanding the difference is important. Start every meal by asking, where is my lean protein? The average American eats only about 15 grams of fiber a day. Recommendations are 25 to 38 grams. Fiber helps. It increases fullness, slows digestion, improves gut health, stabilizes blood sugar, and supports cholesterol and heart health. And this brings us to volume. Volume simply means eating foods that provide a lot of physical food for relatively few calories. In other words, a large amount of food for fewer calories. This is where whole foods become incredibly powerful. Fruits, vegetables, potatoes, beans, lean proteins, whole grains, these foods contain water, fiber, nutrients, and volume. They physically take up space in your stomach. Compare 500 calories of vegetables, fruit, potatoes, and lean protein versus 500 calories of chips. Same calories, completely different levels of fullness. One meal might leave you stuffed for hours while the other leaves you hungry 30 minutes later. And this matters because what Gina and most Americans really want isn't simply weight loss. They want more energy, fewer cravings, better labs, better blood sugar, improved health, more stable hormones, more stable moods. Diets built primarily around minimally processed whole foods consistently help deliver those outcomes. Gina believed she needed to avoid carbs. This is one of the most common myths in nutrition. And honestly, I understand why. Many of the most heavily processed foods in our food environment are carbohydrate rich. Cookies, pastries, candy, cereal, crackers, chips, sugary drinks, fast food buns. So people blame carbohydrates. But the problem isn't the carbs. The problem is the ultra-processed foods. Carbohydrates exist on a spectrum. On one end, fruits, beans, potatoes, oats, rice, whole grains, vegetables. These foods provide fiber, nutrients, volume, and sustained energy. On the other hand are highly processed foods engineered for convenience and overconsumption. Research increasingly suggests diets high in ultra-processed foods may negatively affect hunger regulation, appetite, metabolic health, inflammation, and even mental health. And that's important because the obesity crisis and mental health crisis have risen alongside one another. Nutrition isn't the only factor affecting mental health, but it's one of the factors. Stable blood sugar, adequate nutrients, fiber, omega-3 fats, whole foods, all play important roles in mood, cognition, and overall mental well-being. Your body uses carbohydrates as a primary fuel source. The goal isn't eliminating carbs. The goal is choosing higher quality carbs more often. Dietary fat is essential. You need fat for hormone production, brain health, vitamin absorption, cell function, and overall health. Most people have heard about healthy fats. Olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds, fatty fish. These foods are fantastic. But healthy doesn't mean calorie-free. Fat contains more than twice the calories per gram as protein or carbohydrates, which means portions matter. Adding coconut oil to your coffee or extra nut butter to your oatmeal or handfuls of nuts throughout the day and generous pours of olive oil can absolutely support health. They can also quietly increase calorie intake and potentially add pounds to your hips if you're not aware of it. Again, these foods aren't bad. They're incredibly nutritious. They're just calorie dense. Trans fats are the heavily processed industrial version of fats. And unlike naturally occurring fats, trans fats have consistently been associated with poor health outcomes. Earlier, Gina told us she tries to eat healthy. But when I ask people what healthy actually means, they aren't entirely sure. So let's define it. Healthy eating doesn't need to be complicated. Most meals should include 20 to 30 grams of protein, enough fiber, plenty of volume from whole foods, foods that provide lots of nutrition and fullness and relatively few calories, and foods you genuinely enjoy. Ideally foods that you prepare yourself most of the time. Because if you hate your diet, you're not gonna stick to it. And that brings us back to Gina. So let's go rebuild her day. So let's start with breakfast. Gina started with coffee with sugar, and sometimes a granola bar, which is primarily sugar, refined carbs, and caffeine. So we wanna make sure we can get a breakfast full of protein, fiber, healthy fat, low calories, but still taste good, and keep her fuller for longer without adding a lot of extra steps and without adding a lot of extra calories. So, first thing we're gonna use, protein source, is gonna be Greek yogurt. I'm using non-fat Greek yogurt to keep the calories lower because I'm gonna be adding fat in a different source. Next, I've got collagen powder for a little extra protein and for a little flavor. We've got chia seeds to provide the fiber, the omega-3s or the healthy fats, as well as a little additional protein. You can use hemp seeds, you can use flax seeds, you can use anything that you prefer. Next, I've got frozen berries, a little extra fiber and a little extra antioxidants. Lastly, and this is optional, sugar-free granola. Completely optional, but do know that granola is where you can easily add the calories back in, not to mention the sugar. Granola is notoriously high in sugar. We start with the protein. This is mixed berry, so it adds a nice complement to the frozen berries I'm gonna add later. You can add 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, you can add 2. Next, we go in with the Greek yogurt. Go in with a scoop, another scoop, and we mix her up. Especially if this is the meal that you're using to break your fast, get that protein, get that fiber and healthy fats. Next, we go in with the frozen berries. Lastly, this is where I measure, and then we mix it all up. Crunchy, creamy. You will be eating this for much longer than if you were to just down a bagel or a pastry or a quick breakfast granola bar. This, depending on the quantities you use, depending on full fat versus non-fat Greek yogurt, depending on the seeds, depending on all of that, the protein powder, anywhere from 300 to 400 calories, average, starting your day off. Keeps you full, keeps you energized, keeps your blood sugar stable, keeps your cravings at bay. Simple. If you want it, you could make this before you leave the house, or you can easily prep this the night before. Let's see if Gina likes this better. It's like a sweet, summery dessert. So moving on to lunch, Gina had lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber. All of those are great ingredients. They're just not enough. There's not enough fiber, there's no protein, and there's no fats. So we just wanna bulk it up and make it more satisfying. I've already roasted some squash. I've got one of those pre-made salad kits. This one has broccoli, green cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, and radicchio. You could use anything you want. You can use spinach, you could use any greens, you could do a salad kit like this. I just take the dressing and the additional toppings out. But we're starting with the greens, get some fiber, get some nutrients, load the bowl up. This is gonna add that bulk we were talking about, filling the stomach up to make your body feel the sensation of being full with very little calories, plus the additional nutrients. Next, add your veggie, any veggie. There is no right or wrong here. You can choose anything you want. I chose squash because that's what I had on hand. You could do broccoli. You could do sweet potatoes. You could do asparagus. You could do cauliflower. You could do any vegetable that sounds good to you. Roast it, add it to the bowl. Next, we've got our protein. I've already cooked up some meat, some ground beef. 85% lean, and I just cooked it with some taco seasoning. I'm going in with a second protein source. Now this would be categorized as that lean protein that we talked about. I'm using non-fat Greek yogurt. You can do cottage cheese. You can go without it. You don't need an additional protein source since you already have it in the meat. But if you really want to up your protein game, go for another source. This adds that nice little tangy little taste on top. Last, I got some salsa. You can go fancy. You want to make a sauce of your own, go for it. If you don't, we can go the lazy, I got no time to make any sort of sauce, and we just add in a scoop or two of salsa. Now it's almost like you got that Chipotle bowl. If you want, you could add in some rice to this. So you got that complex carb. Now you just mix that puppy on up. If you want, feel free to top this off with avocado, cilantro, sriracha, a little extra salt to really enhance the flavor. This whole thing is under 400 calories. Depending on if you do an additional protein source, you've got anywhere from 25 to 50 grams of protein just in this, with only around 400 calories, depending on the vegetables you use, depending on the meat source you use. But you see how full this bowl keeps you? You see how long it's gonna take to eat it? That is what we're going for. Something that's gonna fill the stomach up, something that's gonna keep you eating for a long time, and something that's gonna satisfy you and taste good so that you feel the effects of being full without thinking, when is the next time I'm gonna be able to eat? This is gonna keep your energy stable. This is gonna keep your mood nice and stable. This is gonna keep all cravings, all energy crashes at bay. So you tell me, salad with lettuce, cucumber, tomato, maybe grilled chicken on a good day, maybe. This whole thing with including the prep time with the squash and the beef, definitely under an hour. And you could easily prep this. Put it into your containers, set it up for the week, or you could have the ingredients ready to go when you get home from work. It's that simple. For Gina, dinner was family, which is typical to be takeout or something that's fast and easy to prepare, frozen foods. When it comes to dinner, one of the fastest, most simplest ways that you can prepare yourself is by having ingredients prepped for the week. It doesn't have to be an entire elaborate dinner for each day, but starting with just having your protein prepped, your carbs prepped, having some vegetables freshly chopped so they're ready to go. So the actual act of putting together a dinner is so much less than thinking about some elaborate recipe or having to go in and wash the vegetables and chop them and get all the dishes dirty. Having things ready to go is going to be enough in your brain for you to think, I can put together a salad real quick. I can put together a stir fry, a wrap, put together the veggies that I've already chopped up on a pan with my protein, pop it in the oven, and it's good to go. For instance, I'm making a salad tonight and I'm filling up this giant bowl. It's gonna be filled with things like spinach, pre-chopped cabbage, which is full of bulk. That's what's gonna really make me feel the fullness and keep me eating for a long time. I've cooked and chopped some beets, so they're ready to go. Cherry tomatoes, I can cut fresh cucumber. I've got my pre-baked chicken that I can easily just chop up, add to the salad. And if you want a little extra protein, you can add cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or you can go without it. Keep the dressing simple. If you're doing olive oil, I will say be sparing. Be surprised what a serving of olive oil really looks like, but that's where you can use a squeeze of lemon, a little bit more balsamic, something to add a little bit more flavor and moisture along with all of the other ingredients. You can easily do this with stir fries. You can easily do this with one pan sheets. You can easily do this with wraps. The list goes on and on. Again, the same principles apply. Having enough bulk or volume, the fiber of the meal, the cabbage, the roasted vegetables, complex carbs if you're having it like rice or quinoa or couscous, and then having a protein ready to go, either pre-cooked or ready to quickly prepare and throw in the oven. Having a little extra fat, you can add avocado, you can add olives, you can add some nuts and seeds, olive oil. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit of fat. And then flavor it however you want. Use fresh herbs and start with what you know your family likes. Have a few recipes on rotation. The ingredients you know everyone likes, maybe they can even combine them as they want. But dinner, you still want to make sure you're full. It's not as imperative as breakfast or lunch that you've got that fullness or you feel the stomach actually expand, but it is still important, especially if you eat hours before you go to bed.
Gina, after everything we talked about today, what surprised you the most?
Honestly, I always thought my problem was discipline. I thought I just needed to, try harder.
And now?
Well, now I realize I'm basically just making myself hungry all day.
Anything else?
Yeah, apparently my breakfast has been a dessert for the last 15 years?
Yes. Yes, it has.
Honestly, I need a minute. At the beginning of this video, we asked 2 questions. Why is losing weight so hard? And is the problem really a lack of discipline? Here's what I think. The problem isn't simply laziness, but it's also not just one thing. It's biology, it's environment, it's confusion, it's stress, it's convenience, it's misinformation. And frankly, we live in a very strange moment in history. We've created a food environment full of ultra-processed foods specifically designed to make us want more. And at the same time, we've created an information environment where everyone seems to be selling the solution. Food companies, supplement companies, pharmaceutical companies, diet companies, influencers with discount codes, podcasters, your coworker, your aunt, random people on TikTok. Everybody has a plan. Everybody has a hack. Everybody has a secret. And somehow, despite having more information than at any other point in human history, Gina still thought peanut butter was a protein. It's not. It's mostly fat. I need another moment. The reality is that most people don't need another detox or another cleanse or a supplement or another one weird trick. Most people simply need to understand a few basic principles and learn how to apply them consistently in real life. In a world with jobs, kids, stress, limited time, and approximately 14,000 errands a day, fortunately, those basics aren't actually that complicated. Eat enough lean protein, eat more whole foods, eat more fiber, create your own convenience, and eat foods you genuinely enjoy. That's it. Not easy, but simple. And maybe that's the biggest thing I learned from Gina. People aren't broken. Most people are just trying to do their best in an environment that makes eating well surprisingly difficult. And if you're one of those people, you're not alone. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Stop asking, how little can I eat? Start asking, how can I build meals that help me feel my best? Because the easiest calorie deficit to maintain is the one that doesn't feel like a diet. Thank you for your service, Gina. So what you're saying is I can't out-exercise my caramel latte? Correct. I need another moment.